स्तुता मया वरदा वेदमाता प्रचोदयन्तं पावमानि द्विजाना आयु प्राणां प्रजां पशुं कीर्तिं द्रविणं ब्रह्मा वर्चसं मह्यं दत्त्वा व्रजता ब्रह्मलोकम्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Devotees and friends, it is always a pleasure to be here in this wonderful temple called the Great Atlanta Vedic Temple. And today, I would like to share with you a few thoughts on Acharya Devo, Acharya Bhava. Who is an Acharya? How do we respect an Acharya? And Vishruth and I discussed this during the week in terms of my topic. I would like to begin this morning's ceremony, as always, I do with a bhajan, a geet. We'll do this with a beautiful geet, reminding us, all children, you are in this world today because parents were in need of a child. Mothers, fathers. Yesterday I was in Tennessee, Lake City, Tennessee, performed a wedding ceremony, Vivaha Sanskar. So the next thing you know, what's going to happen? In-laws on both sides are going to ask, when are we going to have a child? And also you parents. Now they're accomplished, they have material, wealth, etc. But now there's still a darkness somewhere in the house, in the home, and they need that light. Exactly what I'm talking about. You couldn't wait for this beautiful deep, this light. And then when the light comes, we're so caught up. What do we call it? Suraj or Chanda, sun or the star, the moon. and we try to recall it, Pandit, and find this wonderful name, Sahadeo, Hariprasad, whatever it is, Dhirendra, etc. And so we give this name in the Namkaran Sanskar, which a great Maharishi Swami Dayanand has prescribed for us. The Solah Sanskar, the 16th Sanskar, from the time of conception, Garbhadan Sanskar, until Antyeshti Kriya Sanskar, the 16th. First being Garbhadan, at the time of conception, just a thought, thinking of having a child. We perform a Sanskar. We perform a great ceremony to remind us and to ask God. All these ceremony, by the way, the 16 sanskars, they are all prefaced by one thing and one thing only, and that is God. Om. Every single mantra, as we all know from the Vedic, came from one thing, and that is Om. Meaning that you ask God, who is that wonderful, great, silent, by Vishnu did an excellent job in Ahavan today. And there was one portion talking about the Mauna Ahuti. And he chanted Om, we all remain silent. And then we make our offering. Silent offering, Mauna Ahuti. Reminding us that God is a silent witness. And always take us through things. You will read this in different scriptures, and they talk about the footstep in the sand of time. There was one missing. You only see one footstep, a right leg, a right foot or a left foot, but you don't see the other one. But the other one was always God. There with you, every step of the way, as you continue this journey of life. And so we bring this wonderful child into this world. And we call this child all these wonderful names. You're so eager to get them into your angan, to play in your courtyard, to play in your home. Now that they're here, we have to, the great Maharishi Swami Dayanand reminded us that now that you have your child, what do? And so I would like to share with you two, very briefly, in my message today, as we discuss Acharya Devo Bhava. First of all, let me just ask you, anyone in the audience, if you can tell me, where do you think that came from? Any thought where Acharya Devo Bhava? I know, I can tell exactly. It says Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Where do you think it came from? Meaning any scripture? Anyone can tell me where scripture it came from?
From Vedic.
The Vedic? And the Vedic, and mind you, that's a very simple answer, because everything comes from the Veda.
Yes.
The Veda is the fount of all true knowledge. But it came from the Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad. This is where the saints, when they went within, and all they did was contemplate and think. Just like the fire today, when we perform the Agni Hotra ceremony, we make our offering, and we ask God, that may you, God, burn away any impurities I may have within my personality. By the way, let me just, do not ever forget this. What we do every time we do Havan and we do Puja, this is only an external act. We need to internalize this act for you to be successful, for this act to be, for you to get fruition, for you to get conclusion, for you to get fulfillment. Out of this, you must internalize this act. The kunda is the heart within each and every one of us, which is burning day in, day out. And it's always heated. The temperature there is very hot. This is why when we say this person no longer is alive, because guess what happens? We say they are cold. You feel a pulse, you feel it's no longer there. Heat. The heat within you, Agni, Om Agni Naya Supataha Raya Asman. Om, O God, Agni, you are the fiery one within me. May you, Naya, may you lead me. Naya means to lead in Sanskrit. Om Agni Naya Supataha. Suk and Pat, the path to Suk, the path to happiness, the path to prosperity, the path that will lead me to greatness. That's what this is all about, my friends. And so these yogis have sat and they contemplated and went within. And then they came out with these wonderful great teachings called Upanishads. And one of them is called the Taittiriya Upanishad. And in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there are many what we call Anuvaka. Anuvaka are the sections within these Upanishads. And this specific topic I'm talking about today came from the 11th Anuvaka of the Taittiriya Upanishad, mantra number 2. The very first mantra, by the way, this entire Upanishad is all about the Shiksha-student relationship. It's that child and guru relationship. The teacher is teaching the child how to be a wonderful child, giving the child education, what you need to do, the do's and don'ts, the morals of life. What we call the maxims of being a good person. The very first mantra, by the way, have you ever heard this story? Very short, it says, Satyam Vada Dharam. Thank you, I heard people continue. It came from 11th Anuvaka, first mantra. That's where it's from. In the second mantra of this very 11th Anuvaka, it says that Deva Pitri Kalayabhyam Na Prema Aditvayam Matri Devo Bhava Pitri Devo Bhava Acharya Devo Bhava Atititi Devo Bhava Yanyana Yani Karmani Tani Sevatana Itrani No Itrani Yasmakam Sucharitani Tani Tasvano Narani No Itrani. But the gist, that's the entire mantra. But within that mantra is couched these 4 sentences called Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Today, my message is about Acharya Devo Bhava. And as I studied this thing, and after by wish, we talked, and by email, we did not speak physically. It was all by email. And fine, let me just give credit to
other people. Dr. Chandaram is
all of the wonderful people in this temple. What I'm seeing here today, I'm very impressed. And I want to congratulate you, I want to thank you. This is what it's all about. And this is how we're going to move forward. It is about, you're going to keep up with the ages. Keep up with the time. And that's perfect. I'm so impressed when I came in today and I saw Vishwa hooking up the computer and bringing down the screen. This is how we're going to build our congregation. This is how we're going to go forward. Every single one. Books, as we all know, are becoming thing of the past. Meaning, when I say books, meaning kitab, in the sense of turning the pages, it's moving away. It's all electronic. It's all digital. And that's what you have done here today is really, really very impressive. And I congratulate all of you, the directors, the board of directors, the executives of the Samaj, and everyone who will make it happen. And let us continue on this journey. And so, in this mantra, these 4 lines, powerful lines, the teacher, the guru is saying to the disciple, he's saying that, tell truth always, observe dharma. Remember that was mantra number 1. And then he continued into mantra number 2. He says that, treat mother with as much reverence as you would treat God. Matri Devo Bhava. Matri meaning mother. Devo is another name. Devo is a very powerful word, by the way. And today, by the way, that's a whole other topic by itself. Just explaining that one word, Deva. Who is a Deva? What is a Deva? What constitutes this word Deva? But a mother is a Deva. Meaning that she is just like God. Usko nahi dega humne kabhi, par uski zarurat kya hogi? Ay maa teri surat ki alag, Bhagwan ki surat If you want to see God, my friends, look at the face of mother. There's no difference. None whatsoever. None. If you expect to see something different, that's what it is. Mother. That's the power. Matri Devo Bhava. Pitri Devo Bhava. And in that very bhajan I saw earlier, when I started the message this morning, it says that मैं कब से तरस रहा था मेरे आंगन में कोई खेले नन्ही से हंसी के बदले मेरे सारी खुशियां ले ली. It says that I was eager. This is not a dad speaking. This is the father addressing a child. He's saying, which movie is that from? Do Kalyan, I think? Huh?
I think it is.
Do Kalyan, yeah? Way back in the 60s. So our younger generation, please find the movie. And you can get, it's so easy to do these things nowadays. Find it, let children look at that movie. Don't go look at what nonsense is shown in the theater today. It's so way above everybody else, but show them Do Kalyan from back in the 60s and the 70s. That's what our root is about. He says that I was eager for years for a child to play in my angan, in my yard. I was willing to give all my joys away in exchange for the innocent smile of a child. Khushiyan. Now, my child, tere sang jhool raha hai. Now, when I rock you, I know mere baahon mein jag sara. I rock the entire world. Every single person, my friend, in society today, everyone who think they are great and who you may personalize or you see or you respect as a great person, guess what? Where did they begin? Just like you and I, in the chula. Nau mahine udhar mera ka jab duniya mein. We all resided in something called a womb. Nau mahine. Whose womb was that? Matri Devo Bhava. The womb of the mother. Nau mahine udhar mera ka. And she protected us, Radha. She protected us. Make sure that everything that we need to be a powerful person, to rock the world, and to be a great person happened here. Jab duniya mein, and then we came into this world. Don't ever forget that. And this is what we talk sometimes. We talk about rin. Rin meaning debt. D-E-B-T. This is what, my children, this is what you owe. One of the things, one of the debt you will never ever forget. And one of the things you always have to pay is that of the debt of your parents. And all is very simple. All you have to do is respect them. Show them that love. That's all parents ask for. They don't ask for a whole lot. All they ask for is show me respect. I'm here for you. I love you. What is a family, my friends? Parivar is the word in Hindi. But family, F-A-M-I-L-Y. Father and mother, F-A-M. Father and mother, I-L-Y. I love you. That's a family. It's when children have no shame or no embarrassment to hug their mother or hug their father, regardless of who's looking and regardless of where they are in society. And they can touch the feet of their teacher and say, thank you, O teacher, for all education you've given to me. Thank you, O mother, thank you, O father, for all the love you've shown to me. That's what I'm talking about. Very simple, very basic. This is nothing highfalutin. You don't have to know Sanskrit to understand this. And you don't have a PhD to understand this. This is what life is all about, my friends. And so the poet reminded us, as we explained in the bhajan, that you, now that you have blessed me, O God, Let us do one chaupai. Thank you so much, Pramila. Premamai hai. 1 second. Premamai hai Murati Mata. Bhav bhajan bhavaranjan nikata. This very book, and नाम क्या है बेटा? Who did the Satya Prakash?
Akul.
धन्यवाद भैया. This Satya Prakash, what I just chanted there for you, the Chaupai, is from chapter 2. The very first, the preface of chapter 2. The very beginning of it. It says that mother is an image of love. Prema mai hai murati mata. She is a murti. She is an idol of praying. That's what a mother is. Prema mai hai murati mata. Bhava bhai bhanjana ranjani trata. And what does she do? She protects the child from the fear of the world. Garbahite yavan pariyanta. From the time of conception till the child becomes young, yavan. Dai shiksha dukkha sahinanta. Not only does she protect her for this child from birth, but she, from birth to youth, she teaches. Not only does she teach, but she dukkha sahinanta. She endures pain, which many children nowadays don't even understand. Only when they become a parent, then they will. And this message I'm giving to your children, do not take it for granted, because you will also become a parent one day. Today, all I'm asking that show respect. Matri Devo Bhava. And continuing with that, we have Pitri Devo Bhava. But before I go there, let me share with you one other thought. Have everyone in this audience, anyone in this audience ever heard of the Sri Ramcharitamanas? Yes? See, a lot of nodding. Because the Ramayana is such a powerful epic within our tradition as we grew up. Let me take one chaupai, just one, from the Bal Kand. There are 7 kandas. There are 7 sections within the Ramayana. Bal Kand, Bal means childhood days. In the childhood days of Sri Ram, when he was born with the 3 other brothers, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughan, the 4 brothers. Let me share with you one chaupai, and I will rest my case very shortly when I make this point. If Sri Ram can do this, not if he can, he has done it. The point is, just if you, any one of us who call ourselves Hindus, if you do not practice what Sri Ram has done, if we don't practice Sri Krishna has done, then it doesn't make sense to mention those names. For example, if you are doing something and your dad is saying to you, my child, do not smoke. But when you walk out, you saw dad smoking. That's not what it's about. I practice what I preach. That's what children look for, parents. If you want me to be a good child, then I see you as a good parent. And Sri Ram, this is what one of the examples he has done. Kala uti kai rakuna In the morning we chant the Surya mantra. In the evening we chant the Agni mantra. Agara Bhavaja Huti. Because of the things we go through all day. Pratakal. In the morning. What does Sri Ram do? Pratakal Uti. Wake up. Get up. Arise, O children. Do not fall asleep. A parent will come hit you with a spoon to wake up. Arise, my friend. Suraj. If the sun was behaving in that way, guess what? There will be no society. But day in, day out, the sun, diligently, at a certain time, it's always there. Isn't that true? Children, Swami Dayanand, what time do you think he used to wake up in the morning? And I know every adult is at Moses. What time? Dr. G, Dr. Chandra, what time was Swami Dayanand waking up in the morning?
3 o'clock.
Dhanyavad. Absolutely. Between 3 and 4 in the morning. Way before the sun comes up. By the way, this is where we talk about, don't let the sun catch you in the bed because you become lazy. You're already lazy. Alas. Chore, my friend. Chore, let it go. Wake up before the sun arises. And so Sri Ram in the morning very early, proud the cow. Before the sun arises, Sri Ram will wake up. He used to get Uti Kaira Gunata, Mata Pita Guru Navahi Mata. And then, what does he do when he gets up? He does his ablutions, does when he get himself together. And then, he will go and bow to the feet of his mother. Mata, Pita, Guru, Navahi Mata. The feet of his mother, his father, and teacher, Vasishta Muni. This is what the message is about. Very simple, very basic. If you like Sri Ram and you talk with Sri Ram, and you look at a picture of Sri Ram, and you study the Sri Ram Chaturmanas, when you practice this, children, when you practice what he did, then guess what? You are the best of the child. And not only that, Aya Subali Karahi Purukaja Deki Charita Harashai Manaraja. He will be instructed by his father. Very important. The child, Sri Ram, will now be instructed by his father, King Dashrath, on what needed to be done in administration of the city. The father instructed the child, oh, Sri Ram, this is what we have to do today, blah, 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 etc. But my point, the whole point behind all that is that, listen, you do not know everything. And that's the problem with children in society today. They know everything. No one else knows anything. Especially parents. They have no clue. That's the way children think nowadays. Just because they can play, they can do this thing on their phone or whatever, they think they know everything. What they do not know, my friends, is the moral fiber. The thing that makes you a better person. The thing that makes you a great person in society. And guess when they call you? Is when something goes wrong. Then, mom, dad, so and so. Then they need you. But let us not wait for that to happen, children. Be that child. Be that Sri Ram. Be that wonderful child who is always ready, willing to listen. So listen to the advice. No parent will ever teach a child to do something wrong. Parents always advise and give. It may sound painful sometimes, but guess what? When you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, when you have pain and they give you injection or whatever it is painful, but it's because, but you don't complain, do you? You do not. Because you know you will be better in the end. Parents, when they discipline you, they do that because something is not going right and you're not on the right path. Do rang duniya ke aur do raaste, do roop jeevan ke jeene ke waaste. On life, this journey of life, children, there's always two paths. One of goodness, one of not goodness. One of friends, one of family. the one you always want to choose, stick with family. Because you know what? In the end, that's where you'll come back. Always. Matri Devo Bhava. Mother is like a god. Pitri Devo Bhava. Father is like a god. Acharya Devo Bhava. Your teacher, your guru is like a god. And the thing that bothered by Vishnu, about concern him, he has seen to think that there's no respect anymore for teachers, for acharyas. And this is true. It's absolutely true. But my point to you today is that all of these wonderful people called mother, father, teachers, and atithya, guests who show up at your door, these are all gods. And how will you treat God? How do you treat God? If God is to show up at your door today, how will you treat God? I'm not asking you to tell me the answer. You make the decision. But I think I have an idea, because I know how I will. Similarly, that's why the mantra, the teacher is telling the child, as you go forward in this journey of life, very soon you will go to the third stage of life. No, you mean the second stage of life. From brahmacharya, you are going to grihastha. You will get married, and you are going to become. I got to tell you this, I'm so impressed, and I will never, again when I come, just so you know when I come next time, anything go to this mandir, I will have you will follow me along clearly with all my singing and bhajan. But thank you so much, Bhai Bishop, for all the things you guys are doing here from the PowerPoint standpoint. But let me just move forward to one other thought here. So, children, am I making the point here? And I thought nodding, children. Habish, excellent. Thank you. Lelo, duaye maa baap ki. Oh, lelo, lelo means to take. Duaye, take, my friends, blessings. Duaye means blessings. Very powerful word. And last week, actually, in Florida, I did a Mother Day ceremony. And I explained this word. Blessings, that we all know in English, is a very powerful word, yes. But in English, if you look at a dictionary, it will give you all these synonyms, all the wonderful words that relate to blessing, which is good, great things, etc. But in Hindi, and this is where our tradition, my friends, this is why you need to respect it, love it, and take it forward. Duaye is the word that is used for blessings. Duaye is two pieces of a word. Duk and Wah. Duk, we all know we do not want it. Right? We want suk, not duk. And Wah means take away, get rid of. That which gets rid of duk is blessings. Lelo, duaye maa baap ki. Oh, lelo, duaye maa सर से उतरेंगी गतरी पाप की. That blessing, my friends, was utregi, lifts up the gatari, the bundle of pap, of things that are holding you back, of things that are not allowing you to go forward. That's what parents' blessings are all about. Because, like I said earlier, no parent will ever, doesn't matter how good or bad that child is, will never ever wish that child bad. Always want to wish the child for the best going forward in life. Matri Devo Bhava, Pitri Devo Bhava, mother and father. That's what it's all about, my friends. माँ मुझे अपने आंचल में छुपा ले, गले से लगा ले, कि और मेरा कोई नहीं. My friends, children, it is so simple. कि और मेरा, he says that फिर न सता हूँगा कभी, पास बुला ले, गले से लगा ले, कि और मेरा कोई नहीं. And here, children, you need to understand this. It's very simple. You make mistakes. Don't think you don't. And we all, when you're an adult, you still make mistakes. We all do. But it's saying, oh mom, oh mother, oh father, oh Acharya, I have made mistakes. But I ask you to, because I have no one else to help me, may you forgive me. May you show me the path to that wonderful life that is ahead. I will begin to wrap it up, but I want to share one last thought before I do this. And this is the great Maharishi Swami Dayanand reminding us of, again, from Satya Prakash, the preface, first paragraph of chapter 2 and the first paragraph of chapter 3. Remember, there are 14 chapters in this wonderful treaty called Satya Prakash. The very first chapter is about the explanation. This is why he's not just a rishi. I've said this so many times. I'm so proud to say it because this is what it's all about. He was a Maharishi. He was a visionary. What he has taught us, my friends, we will probably pass on and still will not still understand, comprehend the depth of his knowledge. The very first chapter of this book talked about the many meanings, the many meanings of this one thing called God. His name called God. So, and in this first chapter, there's at least 100 plus names that he explained. The second chapter, second Khan, Dusra Khan, discussed childhood upbringing. Third, academical institution. Now that we have our child, the deep, the chanda, the moon, etc. within us, how do we give them education? That was chapter 3. Fourth, chapter 4, it's all marriage life. Now that the child is educated and is well established in society, now how does this child manage life? And let me share with you a story I shared last week. This is one wonderful young lady, her name is Silochini. Grew up in a very humble home, very humble beginnings, very poor. But when she understood and she saw her mom had a lot of burnt marks, very ugly looking on one side. If you remember that movie, Satyam Shiva Sundaram, kind of similar. And so Silochini, as she grew up in society, she became this wonderful person, established, and now she has developed her friends. And so she wanted to invite her friends home for a meal. And she said to her mom, she said, Mom, I have friends coming over, but I don't want you to be around because we're going to have meals. So she put this chadar in a room, so Mom come in the back where she and her friends can have a wonderful meal together. And it so happened that the day when they were sitting together having this meal, there was a gust of wind that came through. And it blew away each other. And there was Mom, which she didn't want to see her happen. And everyone saw Mom. And so Mom was very embarrassed, obviously. This is what mothers do. They take the embarrassment. The child should be embarrassed, not Mom. Well, Mom was embarrassed. And so Silochini was very angry. Well, I can't believe this happened. And so Mom took a few pieces of belongings and she said, I apologize, I'm sorry. I'm going to move on. But before I do, I want to share with you one thing. Which has been, I want to share with you, I never did, but let me tell you something. And so Silochini is explaining, now the mother is explaining to her daughter, Silochini. She said, when you were 2 years of age, 2 years baby, I was going to the farm, as usual, to do my daily chores. And I heard this rustling noise behind me. And when I looked back, I saw our home was on fire. And so I rushed back. And I didn't care what, I want to save you. And in that process, I had her. So you can imagine how she felt. But another piece story is that before her friends came, guess who prepared the food? Mom did. She did that. And she could have stopped begging for forgiveness. I apologize, etc., etc. My friends, do not quit. Dukha sahe ananta. That's what mothers do. They bear the pain. Dukha sahe ananta. They bear the pain. They will never share with children what they're going through. Because guess what? There's only one reason why they do that. Because they want their child to be the best. Teachers are the same. Father are the same. And so, I will share with you one last thought. The great Maharishi Swaminarayan says that Dhanya dhanya vaha vancha hai, aho dhanya santan, Guru janani aur janak jisa, mile janaki khan, Guru ar dayanand ki jai. Dhanya dhanya vaha vancha hai, aho dhanya santan, my friends. When mother, Guru Janani or Janaka Jisa, when mother, father and teacher are knowledgeable, he says that the children also become knowledgeable. But when mother, father and teacher are always there for children, always remember children that they are the ones who make it all happen. There's a great story I will close with, and this will wrap it up as you leave this temple today. My message is all about, it was about Acharya Devabhava. I spent a lot of time more in Matri Devabhava and Pitri, parents, Lelo Lelo, Duwai, Ma Bapuki. But if you understand, Atiti Devabhava, Acharya Devabhava, Pitri Devabhava, Matri Devabhava, they're all one thing you have to remember, and that is Deva. The key word in those, the three words, Matri, Devabhava. The key word is Devo. Devo meaning treat them as God. And if you do, you will understand. Listen to this story. There's a story many years ago about an elementary teacher. This is all about teacher, all about Acharya. Her name was Mrs. Thompson, this wonderful elementary teacher. And as she stood in front of her 5th grade class, on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. But that was impossible. Because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, a little boy named Teddy Stuttered. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with other children, that his clothes were messy, and that he constantly needed a bath. And Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen, marking both X's, and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records and put Teddy's off always until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, in quotes, "Teddy is a bright child, ready to laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He is a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher, Teddy's 2nd grade teacher, wrote, in quotes, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he's troubled because his mother has a terminal illness, and life at home must be a struggle." End quotes. His 3rd grade teacher, remember Mrs. Thompson, the 5th grade teacher, thought she's now reviewing finally, after putting aside so many all the time not to get to his friend, got to his file. Now 3rd grade teacher said, his 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken." 4th grade teacher, Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends and sometimes sleeps in class. By now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His presents were clumsily wrapped in the heavy brown paper bag that he got from a grocery store. Mrs. Thompson took pains in opening it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she explained how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy stayed after school that day just long enough to say, in quotes, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least 1 hour. On that very day, she quit teaching, reading, and writing, and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Sahadeo Hariprasad. Teach. She started, forget all the stuff that goes on, my friends. Forget everything else. Teach. Instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. That's what a teacher does. That's what an acharya does. Explain to the child, and this is what Swaminarayan is all about. Etymologically, when all these wonderful and great names from Germany and other countries came to India and they started to get deviated and they made a mess of our scriptures because they had no clue what Sanskrit was all about. Swaminarayan was the one who came on the scene. Acharya, that's another title he's missing. He was the greatest of acharyas. He said that to study the word, go to the root, etymologically study the word, then you understand the concept of what is trying to be said within the Vedic. And so the more she encouraged him, the faster he responded, Teddy. By the end of the year, Teddy has become one of the smartest children in the class, and despite her lying that she loved all the children some, Teddy became one of her teacher's pet. Teddy now became a favorite. A year later, she found, now 5th grade is done. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy, telling her that she was still the best teacher he had in his entire life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school, second in his class, and she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, so this is 10 years now, 4 years after that, she had another letter saying that while things had been tough at times, he do stay in school, had stuck with it, and will soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he ever had in his whole life. Then 4 years passed, and yet another letter came. This time he explained that after he got his bachelor's degree, he decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still the best and favorite teacher he ever had, but his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. And the story doesn't end here. You see, there was yet another letter that came along. Teddy said he knew met this girl and was going to get married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit in the place at the wedding that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did. And guess what? She wore that bracelet with missing rhinestones, the one with several rhinestones missing, and she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas meeting. They hugged each other, and Dr. Teddy Stoddard, whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear. He said, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back, and she said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." My friends, Acharya Devo Bhava. Respect the teachers, respect our acharyas, but acharyas also have a role to do. When they can take a child, just like a goldsmith take gold ore, which is dark in nature, muddy in nature, you can take it on the road on the side. When a goldsmith takes that gold ore which is dark, and with the fire, the flame of his torch, he transformed that gold ore to powerful looking, nice, beautiful gems that we pay a lot of money for. That's what an acharya does. When the acharya does that, my friends, then that acharya deserves all the respect in the world. On that note, I will close here this morning, but I want to thank you all very much for your time, and I want to say that I'm always happy to come to this mandir, and I think we have great. When I came today and saw our building going up, I'm so proud, Dr. Chandorji and all the wonderful executive directors of the board. What you do, may God bless you as you continue forward to make this great Atlanta Vedic temple one of the best temples, not only here in Atlanta, in the country, but let's continue to be best throughout. Thank you all so much. Om Asatoma Sadigamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.